Hello everybody, Dazis here, very happy to see all of you on the other side of the screen. Today I would like to make a video about a computer build I made for the office. We had a system which is absolutely mission critical because it's making labels and shippings for our customers, and it started giving us a little bit of the trouble, so I figured out that it may be time to upgrade our 5 or 6 years old system and see what we can use for that. So I had a few parts lying around and I decided to utilize them in that build. One of the critical components for this build was a requirement that it should be very reliable computer, and if anything happened to it, it has to be fixed very quickly, so it's no delay with auto processing. So obviously making anything that is a custom loop, it was out of question. I was actually planned to do air cooling, the same as we had in our previous computer, but I decided what the hell, actually, to make air cooler placed on a CPU or add all-in-one unit, probably the same thing. So first time in my life, believe or not, I actually used all-in-one unit, which you can see right here. I use EK Nucleus, which I have in a store for about a year. Nobody wants to buy it, not very popular because probably it's overpriced, and I'm not sure if it's actually top performing one or not, but we have surplus, which I used, and it's also white, which is also coincidentally works very well with the computer case that was provided to us to MSI to support our Project Zero build that never happened. And remember, in the summertime I did a review for Beats Power Project Zero CPU block. I found that it's a little bit not very high flow. I think it's more suitable not for everyday use, and more like a for showcase type of the computer. So anyways, the project never happened, but I have a case sitting and waiting for doing something about it. So when our computer system at the office start giving us blue screens every day, few times a day, so I figured out, okay, it's time to fix it. So I pulled this case out, and I can tell you, I had the most positive experience of computer building for a while, and for that reason I decided that it's worth making this video and like to give you some details here. So what actually the build is made of is Project Zero motherboard. This is a Project Zero computer case which has a correct cutout, so all Project Zero type of motherboards which has all connectors like power and SATA and anything like USB and all the stuff, it's everything behind, so you can see there's absolutely zero cables. So computer is absolutely empty. The only type of the cables it could have, which I don't, if I would have GPU, which actually I don't need for this office computer, then actually some power cables has to come to GPU. But in my case, I have like zero cables in the front, which is totally crazy. Anyways, so let me walk through this build and also through this case and show you what it has. I found it so easy to work on, also a couple things that I didn't like, but overall it was a really cool experience. First thing, which is really cool, but it's standard for many cases that we can see on the market right now. So you can see we have like a PANO type of tempered glass on the front, a little bit sloped corner, and also on the side. What I like about this particular case, I don't know is it new trend or what, but I always dislike tempered glass cases because the glass was so damn thick and the whole case was so heavy. But this one, you can see it's actually like kind of very easy type of disconnection. We have a little latch here that you pull out, and you can remove the panel. So you can see the panel is very thin. So it's probably half thickness from the normal computer cases we have. For example, I don't know, maybe something changed, but the last case I had was View 77 from Thermotech. The glass was literally twice as thick, very heavy, and everything together, the case was unbearably heavy, even without putting a single computer part in it. So that's the reason I didn't like it. So this one is very light, and it can be removed from a side. It also can be removed from the front if you, whatever reason you want to access. So I was a little bit too enthusiastic right there. So the front is also removable. So you can see it just pull it out, and now we have a full access from any side. And let me put this one in place just for a second, because I want to talk about cables a little bit later. So you can see we have this massive compartment from our power supply. There's a provision with 3 fans that theoretically can be just your exhaust fans, but if you want to, you can actually put a triple radiator right here with 3 fans, and this is a little platform with a bunch of mounting holes for the 120mm fan as well. This is space. If you don't want to use all-in-one unit, you actually can put like a cylindrical reservoir and pump combo here, right in on the bottom of the case, if you don't want to mount it on a vertical type of position. So triple radiator here, space for your reservoir pump combo here. On the top we have additional mounting, which is the top is removable like this. We can take it out. So our options, we can have a triple, which I actually have right there, but you also see this is a little bit provisioning for the 140mm fan, so I'm pretty positive that 420 will not fit in this case, but 280 can be an option if for whatever reason you want to. So theoretically this case can hold 2 triple 120mm radiators, which is, I think, is a plenty for any gaming PC, and it should be not an issue whatsoever. In my particular case, I have total overkill with all-in-one unit with triple radiators that cooling only the CPU, which is well barely working because the printing labels is not very hard task. And we have one single SSD, and that's it. You can see no cables whatsoever. So now a couple of words about the side panel, which already was out, but I would like to do it second time. So here a few things which is not as good as it could be. So first of all, you can see that the distance between the panel and all this business like motherboard tray and this panel for 3 fans or triple radiator, whatever, it's so close to the end of the case, so I barely can put like a finger here. So I don't know, maybe 1 centimeter, maybe, but I think it's probably even less. So like 1/3 of inch, something like this. I actually have a problem with the minimum. I don't really have any cables. So only thing I have is the power for CPU, power for motherboard, and bunch of whatever fans that I have to power up, and I have to use extension cable because I needed to flat it, and my Corsair 1000 watt power supply with a round cable, because old model, it was not enough space even to close this back panel. So if I would design it, I would give it damn another centimeter, and it will be so much easier. Another thing that you can see, it's all those cutouts here, 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 don't even see it, and on the bottom that expose your standard connectors that usually have on the front of the motherboard. So you have all these fans and motherboard power, this RGB stuff. So this is the USB connectors, and here even covered there's some SATA connectors. This all this our front motherboard type of stuff, like power button and things like this, more SATA. And because of all this mess of the cables, it's all get covered, so it's not that easily accessible. So first you need to connect it, then you need to organize cables. If you want to change anything, that all this maze of the cables will be always on your way. So cable management, yes, I have an absolutely cleanest possible configuration on the front. the back is a pain in the ass. It's 100% so, and not easily accessible anything. Now, back a little bit to the case features. So it comes with those 3 fans and this 4th fan right here, which is connected to this little device, which essentially is fan and RGB type of control. So you can see all those 4 fans connected right here, and control itself, and this control itself connected to the motherboard. So motherboard PWM connection controls all these 4 fans. And for the RGB stuff, we also have a controller that can control your RGB stuff on its own, or by a long press of the button on the front, you can make it sync with the motherboard. So you can do color that comes out of motherboard, or you can ignore it completely and just have 18 colors or something like this, those color combinations, which you can get out of control itself. So that's up to you. So it's a little bit of flexibility here. I'm personally synchronized it with my motherboard because I wanted a specific color which wasn't supported with the whatever 18 combinations they offered, but that's how it's done. One thing that I'm not big fan of in this particular case, that because the computer is sitting actually on the floor, so you can see all those connectors for the front, USB, power connector and LED control button, they will be literally on the floor. So to reach it, you need to go all the way down to press it. Also, the button's very small, like power button. I have actually with my fat fingers, I have actually problem to press on it efficiently, so I actually a little bit struggle about that. I would love to have all those connections on the top of the case in this particular situation, but you know, it's not an option. Another thing that is also not available with this particular case, they have no provision showing SSD or your hard drive activity, and I find that's actually not always needed, but sometimes when your computer kind of stuck and you're not sure is it hang or not, so blinking of hard drive kind of give you sometimes a little bit additional indication if anything happens or it's completely hang. So I had to, we have a little connector here from the case itself to your input-output connector on the motherboard, but there's not even provisioning for anything for the HDD activity. So what I did, I just took one of the dark side 5mm LEDs, removed connector, and by weird coincidence, the actual pins on the connector from dark side was pretty much the same size as on the connector that provided by the case itself, and I'll just insert it in the housing, connect it, and now I have a little LED right here, white LED that I use, that give you a little bit blinking, and I found it helpful. So that's how I did it. Maybe not the super elegant way, and ideally maybe it should be white cable too, but it works for me, and if you're looking for something like this, that's how easily you can do it. First I tried to actually use LED strip, but unfortunately 5 volt that coming out of motherboard wasn't enough to even lit it up, but for round LED it was enough, which is and it wasn't too bright either, so it was a good thing that I really liked. So another thing that I would like to address a little bit, so this is compartment that you can see, this is compartment for power supply that I use. I put 1000 all size, huge, massive Corsair PSU right here. It took almost entire compartment, not a lot of space to hide all the cables, so it was a little bit difficult for me to put all cables inside, but eventually I managed. I even keep my PCI cables ready if I ever need to do any additional changes to this computer, or I want to add on GPU card for this build for whatever reason. But yeah, this compartment looks massive, but when you put a big PSU here, it's not that massive. And there, on that note, I would like to mention that how you actually power up your GPU if you have it. So you have a cutout here on the front, so cables can come in here, so if you have GPU inserted, or there's also a way to holes on the back, so if you want to come from the behind, that's another way. This is a micro ATX case. They have ATX version as well, which look slightly different. So there's no provisioning for GPU to do like vertical mount, just not enough space, so it always has to be part of the insert straight to the motherboard. But again, if it's you have to have it, you can look at MSI website and they have all ATX version, which is looks a little bit different, but it has a provisioning to put your GPU in vertical way. One thing that you need to keep in mind that you can see the case is very small, compact, and if you have a massive type of GPU, it might stick too much and interfere. Maybe not with those fans, it probably will be okay, but if you plan to put any radiator and water cooling here, that could be a problem. I tried to put my 3080 GPU just to place it and see if it's too long or not. It was fine, surprisingly. It was almost at the end, but I have a half centimeter gap right here, so it wasn't a problem. So theoretically, if I would use my 3080 in this build, I easily can put additional radiator here, no problem whatsoever. But nevertheless, I oversee the situation that maybe some custom PCB GPUs may be so long that they go like in this area and may or may not interfere with you when you try to put any water cooling. So that's quick talk about MSI Mag PANO Micro ATX case. I have absolutely pleasure to working with this. For the simple computer, like office computer, I think it's almost too nice. If you guys are looking for the cool case, I know this is not new model, it's probably about 1 year old, and right now on CIS it's look like that MSI actually make a few newer models that could be even better, but I think this is an absolutely fabulous case. I absolutely love it. Also comes in black if you don't want white. Thank you for watching, appreciate your support. Happy New Year because it's first video of the year, and I see you soon.